Hi guys, got a video here about comparing 3D mesh terrains versus CopperCube's inbuilt terrain from Height-Map. They're both pretty good. This is the 3D mesh. It's obviously pre-textured with a professional software system. It's got like a lot of excellent details. Yeah, it looks good from a distance. Particularly from a distance, it does look a little bit better than the CopperCube one, even though they're not that different. This is CopperCube. I just haven't textured some of these hills as much as the other one, but that's just a quick go at it. But it's not that different, really. Back to the 3D mesh. So 3D mesh will typically be known for pretty high polygon count, but approximate the same as CopperCube. But the key difference is the size of the textures. So this one, it's 1 gigabyte of memory just there for the textures. This 3D mesh, there's 4 here, separate ones, but this one I'm looking at right now is it's one texture. It's an 8K texture. So you can see here, 8K. It's just spread out that 8K into different sections. So for each of those 4, each of those have an 8K texture for each of these 4, which adds up to yeah, there's a gigabyte right there. So it does add up to a lot more texture memory. I mean, maybe you're fine with that, but and in terms of the file size, this is the CopperCube Height-Map, between 20 and 40 megabytes, whereas compared to the same thing with a fixed 3D mesh, it's 360 megabytes. So it's going to take a lot longer to load too. So I actually do like the CopperCube one because it'll load faster, and on top of that, you can have, if you load the Height-Map for that 3D mesh, which in some cases you can get, it'll be a much bigger map than the 3D mesh, fixed 3D mesh will be. So here's a 3D mesh. So you can see it from a distance. Yeah, it's going to look a little bit better actually because it's being textured more professionally. But up close, the texture resolution is not that good. So up close, you know, you're going to have to load like a 16K texture to get high detail up close. There's no way you're going to load that in CopperCube or probably any software. So up close is low resolution, and distance looks a bit better, but you can get a very similar thing in CopperCube, but still have up close better resolution. You can actually have as much resolution as you want. This is 1K textures. There's about 5 different textures there. 1K. You could load 2K textures if I wanted to, or I could just change the texture scale to make it a bit more detailed up close. So this is the CopperCube one. You can have really as much detail as you want, I suppose it's true to say. Yeah, you're going to have problems with terrain, stretching of the textures. That's always the case with the older game engines like CopperCube. It's not that bad. It's not too bad, really. I think you can live with that. But the best thing is, like I said, you can get high resolution with CopperCube height maps. You can get bigger maps, much bigger maps, and much lower memory for all of that put together. So it does have some benefits, the CopperCube height map. That's the one I prefer. For example, I'll just play it. It's going to look the same. Takes a bit longer to load and save, load up. This is the fixed 3D mesh. Yeah, it looks good, doesn't it? It does look good. But I mean, there's a similar effect I can get in CopperCube height map. There's a little bit of texture detail, which is fine. That one over there in the distance is another section, different map altogether. Don't worry about that. But when you get up close, like here, there's no texture detail at all. Really, it's flat. It's a lot of flat sections with nothing. And then when you get close, it still looks a bit blurry, doesn't it? It's not really good enough. I don't think that's not good enough. Even though the actual way it's been textured is actually really good, it's excellent. But the detail is just not there. The only way to get more detail is to make the player a lot bigger, so you're not so close to the ground, but then the map becomes a lot smaller, doesn't it, relative to the player. And this fixed 3D mesh is not that big. I can walk from one end to the other in about 20-30 seconds, whereas CopperCube, the height map, it's 512 by 512. It'll take like 5 minutes to get from one end to the other. It's that much bigger. Yeah, looks the same, but it's just so much bigger. And yeah, and you can see up close, still got stretching. Yeah, still got the stretching of the textures, and up close it's just the detail's not there. It's not detailed. It's, if you had nothing else, it's okay. I guess it's just okay, but that's all. These days that you get a lot of complaints from people these days saying, oh, that's not good enough. Yeah, so you can see the square, the size of the square. It's not that big. Yeah, and the texture is just not really that great. Whereas with the CopperCube one, you can get it almost as good. I just haven't done enough texturing work. Those hills could, could texture them up real quick and easy with a broad stroke of the. But the detail up close is better. See, you can see it is a lot better, and I can even add more detail to that if I wanted to. If I wanted to use 2K textures, these are still 1K textures. I think that's probably good enough. But this map is huge. This would take me ages to get from one end to the other. Yeah, I prefer the bigger maps. So my preference is CopperCube height maps, and texture it up yourself nicely with a few different textures. This terracing effect only occurred once I applied the plugin, the CopperCube plugin, to compress the scene. To compress the scene, I'm pretty sure, which is actually not a bad effect. Actually, I don't really mind it. Adds a bit more sort of detail in a way. But up close, as you can see, the texture is more detailed up close. I think basically 3 textures I've used. That's not too bad, is it? I mean, it's not the best ever, but it is better than the 3D mesh one. Put it that way. It has more detail. Okay, 4 textures I've got, and I've got another bit of stuff over here. So it just takes a little bit more time if you're going to use the CopperCube height map. Texture it up nice. It does, spend an hour or two. It's not bad. It's a bit of fun, Get some decent textures, whack them in, and texture it up nice. You can do it. It's alright. It doesn't always blend textures quite well in CopperCube, but if you play with it enough, you get it to work pretty good. Pretty okay. Good enough, put it that way. Yeah, you can sort of see the texture repeating in the distance. I guess that's partly true. You can just change the textures or modify it differently, or use 2K textures and don't repeat the textures as much. You won't see that effect as much. That's another way. Yeah. So I think CopperCube height map is good because you can modify it however you like, whenever you like, really easily. And I'm definitely going to be doing that quite a bit in my games. So this is the type of thing I expect to use. Not necessarily this height map itself, maybe, but something like that. Yeah. I mean, it's still a little bit blocky. Yeah, fair enough, it is, but that's just how it is. Yeah. You can try and smooth that out if you want, but yeah, it's not the finished. This is just a test. This is all just a test demo. This is not the finished product or anything. Just a quick comparison to see the difference between the two. Yeah, how it would look, and what's the benefits and what's the differences. Yeah, leave some comments below if you like. Let me know what you think. Which one you think is better. Yeah, cool. Talk to you later.